Welcome to Books for Success. Today, we're delving into the wisdom within Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Gottlieb. Quite often, we find that many people around us are struggling with some negative feelings. Perhaps they are frustrated and feel inadequate, or they're living with a mental illness or personal crisis. They might also be trying to recover from a divorce or the loss of a loved one. Whatever it is they might be going through, you need to be able to say the right words if they come to you for comfort. For example, you could say the words that form the title of this summary. Maybe you should talk to someone. And that someone, in this case, would be a therapist. Gottlieb is a best-selling American author and famous psychotherapist who has written for several publications, including the New York Times, Slate and Elle. She is most famous for her weekly Dear Therapist advice column for The Atlantic, where she is also a contributing editor. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone has been acquired by ABC to be developed into a series. Subscribe and ring the bell for notifications if you want to keep receiving the knowledge of book summaries about health, wealth, love, psychology, and much more. Don't be shy about dropping your book suggestions for us to summarize. Also, you can use this video as an audiobook summary. Let's grow and succeed together. Our emotions always need an outlet, and we have to find out what works best for us. Therapists are trained to help their patients through whatever problems they may be facing. In her Los Angeles office, Gottlieb ensures that she listens to her patients, offers them comfort, and helps them through their struggles. But much as she tries, Gottlieb cannot control the things that happen in her own life. So, she also visits her therapist to get through her issues. This interwoven need to give help and receive help is the basis of this summary. We all try to hide our quirks and weaknesses, sometimes even to a dangerous point. There's pain and joy that come with seeking help from others, even professionals, and there is also a fear that comes with revealing our innermost thoughts. Gottlieb employs humor and knowledge as a psychotherapist to usher us into her world as both a clinician and a patient. She explains how everyone is unique in their own way and how beneficial professional help can be, and debunks the myth that professionals are perfect and do not need anyone. Stay with this summary to find out how Gottlieb manages her issues and her patients, and why it is important to be open to receiving help from others. Therapists are humans with their own troubles and needs. Gottlieb has had sessions with many clients. One such client is John, a self-absorbed Hollywood writer and producer. She experienced some difficulty connecting with John, who she frankly thought was an asshole. The 40-year-old client, who came off as thoroughly self-involved and uncaring about others, reported that he felt stressed and found it difficult to sleep or get along with his wife. John referred to everyone he couldn't understand or get along with as an idiot, from his coworker and dental hygienist down to his previous therapist, who only lasted 3 sessions. As Gottlieb tried to understand John and help him through their sessions together, she remembered that her supervisor once told her that there was something likable about everyone. So, she kept repeating the mantra, "Have compassion," and tried to find the likable things about John. During this therapy session, she realized that they both dealt with their pain by covering it up. As she listened to John, she realized that his need to rant about the world being filled with idiots and blame everyone else for mistakes resonates so loudly with her. To a large extent, she felt she understood what anger at others felt like, especially if she was certain that they hurt her. Therapy is a two-way street. As much as the therapist helps the patient also helps the therapist see parts of themselves that might have been previously hidden. For example, as John narrated his problems, Gottlieb thought about her breakup and other things that troubled her. Feeling the toll of going through the day, her private troubles, and the emotional impact of hearing different traumatic, delicate stories all weighed on her. So Gottlieb decided to seek help and start seeing Dr. Wendell, another therapist a mile away. Always treasure moments of resistance. They signal what a therapist needs to pay attention to. There's a particular process of pointing out the mistakes that patients make. Do it too fast, and you might risk it all and lose them. Do it too slowly, and they start feeling unsafe, like parents whose children refuse to hold them accountable. In Dr. Wendell's 4th session with Gottlieb, he discovered that one of his own defenses was his cell phone when Gottlieb drew his attention to her feeling dismissed when he texted during a session. She said if they were going to work together and make any form of progress at all, he'd have to stop using his cell phone during sessions. Surprisingly, he conceded, and through the remainder of the therapy, she discovered that he indeed had the capacity to love. When people come to therapy, they present an in-the-moment snapshot of themselves. So, it is up to the therapist to cajole, nudge, talk, listen, and guide patients to bring other aspects of their lives into view. Some snapshots are dark, while some are blurry. People don't always remember how an event or conversation went, but they don't forget how it made them feel. As Gottlieb continued her sessions with Dr. Wendell, she remembered something her supervisor once told her: always treasure the resistance. She knew when to push for more answers and when to let go. For instance, Dr. Wendell once got antsy with the direction of her questions, slipped, and mentioned Gabe, his son, who died in a car accident at a young age. Gabe was sitting directly behind his driver's seat, which was the direct point of impact. Most people want relief when they come for their first session with their therapist, so they begin their stories with their presenting problem. In her first therapy session with her therapist, Gottlieb reported that she was finding it hard to get over her abrupt breakup with her ex-boyfriend. She referred to him as the boyfriend. The boyfriend, who Gottlieb described as the sweetest guy she had ever met, broke up with her seemingly out of the blue after a 2-year-long relationship. Because of how abrupt and blindsided the breakup was, Gottlieb felt like she never knew him. The boyfriend was the kind of guy who'd drive down to the pharmacy at 2 a.m. to get her the antibiotic she needed urgently without complaints. He was the kind that would leave awesome post-it notes on her desk, hold her hand, open doors, and never complain about being dragged to her family events. He would send her Amazon packages full of books, because he knew books were her love language, for no reason, and he seemed to adore her family members genuinely. Gottlieb noticed that the boyfriend was unusually quiet as they settled in to pick a movie. So naturally, she asked him if something was wrong. This was when he dropped the bomb. He had decided he didn't want to spend the next 10 years with Gottlieb's child under his roof. The boyfriend revealed that he primarily had no plans to date anyone with kids, but he fell in love with her and got confused. We certainly have our deal breakers, but when we go through life picking and choosing, we lose out on lots of good things, thereby depriving ourselves of joy. The presenting problem is often not the real issue but merely the beginning aspect of a bigger problem. In Dr. Wendell's office, Lori Gottlieb relayed her presenting problem by trying to paint the boyfriend as either a sociopath or a selfish liar, and she wanted her therapist to confirm her assertion. She felt life would be a lot easier if someone as qualified as herself would back up her perception of him. However, Dr. Wendell refused to do that. He wouldn't admit that the boyfriend was a sociopath. He just listened, picked up cues, and tried to establish a pattern. After all, he did know that the boyfriend was the presenting problem. The only way he could reach the real problem was by listening and observing Gottlieb very carefully. He knew what all therapists know, that the presenting problem, the issue somebody comes in with, is often just one aspect of a more significant problem. And one day, he picked up on the first cue. Gottlieb said that her life was half over. Dr. Wendell thought maybe she was grieving over something more significant. Before a therapist can break down a person's defenses, they need to help the patient replace the defense with something else so as to not leave the patient raw and exposed, with no protection whatsoever. Dr. Wendell's patience paid off as they both realized that Gottlieb's frustration over her ex-boyfriend was merely an external symptom that masked something rooted deep within her fear of death. Changing our relationship with the past is a staple of therapy. Lori Gottlieb, already in her late 40s, had begun experiencing a mysterious illness that none of her doctors could diagnose. The boyfriend, and the imagined future built around him, served as a kind of curtain covering this fear. His going away left her to face the horror alone, even though she hadn't told him about her failing health. Dr. Wendell told Gottlieb that, with the loss of the boyfriend, she had lost more than her relationship in the present. She lost her relationship in the future as well. Unfortunately, if we spend the present trying to fix the past or control the future, we can't move on. Gottlieb couldn't do anything else but stalk the boyfriend because she felt that her life had ended. Moreover, she felt that, due to her age, she would never find another partner. However, Dr. Wendell suggested that by stalking the boyfriend online, she was holding on to a cancelled future. She was watching the boyfriend's future unfold while she remained stuck in the past. In an attempt to break off the pattern, Gottlieb tried something different. She stalked Dr. Wendell. Although she regretted her actions after the fact, she learned a lot about her therapist, including his parents, family, upbringing, and patience. During her therapy sessions with Dr. Wendell, she realized that the boyfriend was not merely a way to hide her fear of death from herself but also a great distraction from something that made her anxious. Did you know? According to the National Center for Health Statistics, 19.2% of U.S. adults received mental health treatment in 2019. Depression can make one dissatisfied with and tired of life. Rita was a divorced woman whose presenting problem was depression. She expressed regret over what she believed to be bad choices and a life poorly lived. Moreover, Rita reported that if her life didn't improve in 1 year, she planned to end it. When Rita came for her very first session, she was so depressed that when she gave an account of her situation, it was as if she was reading an obituary. The final line had been written, and her life, she believed, was a tragedy. Thrice divorced and the mother of 4 troubled adults, grandchildless and living alone, and retired from a job she disliked, Rita saw no reason to get up in the morning. Her list of mistakes was long: choosing the wrong husbands, failing to put her children's needs above her own, not using her skills as an artist in a professionally fulfilling way, and not making an effort when she was younger to form a community. It was no surprise her kids hated her. She had numbed herself with denial for as long as it worked. However, recently, it had lost its efficacy. Even painting, the one activity she enjoyed and excelled at, barely held her interest. Now, her 70th birthday was approaching, and she had struck a deal with herself to make her life better by then or stop living it. Lori Gottlieb deduced Rita would wait the whole year before doing anything drastic because she wanted to change, not die. When she gave suggestions to inject vitality into Rita's life, Rita shot down every single one. Sometimes, people reflect on their past as a way of letting go of their emotional burdens. In an emergency session, Rita was agitated and uncharacteristically disheveled. There had been a man in her life named Myron, a former friend, whom she met at the mailbox. At the time of their friendship, he was her only friend, and he asked her to go to the farmer's market with him. Rita thought it was a date, so she dramatically declined, and they soon became fast friends. They had similar interests, and even though they weren't dating, they spent much of their time together. And while Rita at first found Myron merely decent-looking, one day, as he was showing Rita photos of his grandchildren, something in her stirred. Rita realized then that she had to say something to him about the direction of their relationship. But she lost her nerve and it was too late. Myron had started dating Randy, a much younger woman he had met on Tinder. Rita felt gutted, and that was why she had decided to kill herself at 70 if she didn't feel better. Myron broke up with Randy 3 months later, and when he professed his undying love to Rita, she decided to come clean about her past so that he could make informed decisions on whether he still wanted to be with her. Rita detailed in a letter that she read aloud to Gottlieb amidst tears her lonely childhood, her struggles with depression, and how it affected her children. She also talked about her abusive first husband and how being a neglectful mother, coupled with her husband's addiction to alcohol, messed up her children, making them want nothing to do with her. Denying the existence of a problem does not make it automatically go away. Lori Gottlieb's newest client, Charlotte, reported that she drank a couple of glasses of wine nightly to relax. It turned out that Charlotte edited that part of her life and displayed an interesting snapshot of it. When Charlotte entered treatment for anxiety and depression, she was in denial about her addiction to alcohol. She drank more than a few glasses and started having gaps in her memory. She didn't believe there was anything wrong with social drinking, and she worried that her real addiction was her therapist, Lori Gottlieb. Charlotte hated having to rely on Gottlieb as much as she relied on her parents. She dated unavailable men because she was unwittingly drawn to men who replicated some of her father's unavailability traits when she was young. Her parents were inaccessible a lot while she was growing up. They often fought, cursing and yelling so loudly that the neighbors sometimes complained. They were never attentive, and because of this childhood experience, Charlotte unconsciously associates love with a sense of anxiety rather than happiness or tranquility. Conclusion. Gradually, through his sessions, John learned to acknowledge his grief, be more empathetic, and communicate better with his wife. They begin a healing journey together, coming to terms as a couple with their son's death. Rita also began the journey to forgiveness and healing, finally freeing herself from her self-imprisonment. In a way, it was the therapy sessions themselves that did the trick. Rita needed someone to talk to. She had been isolated for a decade, coming to the point of splurging on pedicures just so that she could feel some human touch. Myron received Rita's letter, and after taking some time off to absorb what Rita revealed, he decided to take a chance on her. With Gottlieb's help, Rita efficiently identified and managed her weaknesses. She also started teaching art at a local college and opened a website to sell her art pieces. Charlotte joined Alcoholics Anonymous and stayed committed to the program. She went cold turkey on alcohol and cut out her old friends who encouraged her old lifestyle. The strangest thing about therapy is that it is structured around an ending. It begins with the knowledge that the time between a therapist and their patient is finite. But the end of therapy doesn't necessarily mean the end of a relationship, the same way a relationship in real life doesn't end. Even when we, as therapists, stop seeing clients, they go on to live in our hearts. People grow in connection with others, and all 4 clients, including Lori Gottlieb, are proof of that. Try this. If you have issues you need to discuss with someone, find the nearest therapist and book a session. Also, you could make a list of the things you want to work on each day and start with small steps onward. Thanks for being part of our insightful voyage. If our summary piqued your interest, we encourage you to dive into the complete book for a deeper understanding. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more content if you're new here, and share it with others who might find it valuable. Keep on reading, discovering, and advancing until our next adventure.